Got a junk vehicle just sitting there? It's worth money right now. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan is paying top dollar for junk cars, trucks, farm rigs, and scrap metal, and they'll even come pick it up. DD Auto and Salvage handles any kind of metal recycling. Junk cars, scrap, large cleanups, you name it. With tow trucks, roll-off bins, and heavy equipment, no job is too big. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204. DD Auto and Salvage, turning junk into serious cash.
Happy Father's Day from the entire staff at Logan River Golf Course. It's time once again for our annual Punch Pass and men's shirt sale. Buy any 10 or 20 Punch Pass and receive a voucher for 9 holes of golf at Logan River. Buy any men's shirt, excluding sell shirts, and redeem the voucher for 9 holes of golf. Come down to Logan River and check out all the great gifts, items for Dad. Logan River Golf Course. Play well, play fair, play fast.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only 2 things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
And good morning. Welcome to the show on a beautiful Saturday morning. We'll feel right along with Mark Anderson and some guests here for the Garden Guide. On this Saturday is already we're at 65 degrees and headed towards the low 90s. So a lot to talk about this morning when it comes to lawns and gardens, Mark, because we've got some heat that we're dealing with.
These are some temperatures that the tomatoes and peppers just love, though. So when we get warmer nighttime temperatures and then we get daytime temperatures in the 90s, that's when they start to take off like
really
crazy.
Go.
Yeah. So this week, for the first part of the season, and I didn't get my tomatoes planted until like Memorial Day, I put my aquadomes and my Grow It Now plant protectors on them, not to keep them from getting frozen, but to increase growth like really quickly. And so this week I've seen some of my plants go from, 6 inches tall to growing out the tops of the plant protectors.
And they're now around 12 inches.
I'm starting to take those off now and putting the tomato cages on because they've grown so quickly this last week or 10 days. So the temperature's making things grow crazy. Yeah, squashes. My squashes and pumpkins are growing like mad as well, too. I think my giant pumpkins are putting on almost 10 inches a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not the pumpkins
really
themselves.
Off the
vines.
plants.
Yeah, the vines are growing. So haven't set a pumpkin yet, but the vines are growing like crazy. So that's the way we like it. So
noticing the beans and the corn, if you've got that in already, they're taking off. Of course, along with that, the weeds are this is great.
Right.
So,
and I planted the corn honestly 10 days ago, and it's now like 6 inches tall. Yeah. So it's just really taken off. So it's about time to fertilize the corn again too. So
definitely a lot to talk about this morning, and
got to keep them happening. So much happening in Cache Valley this weekend. A ton of stuff going on. So not only do we have the Summerfest at the fairgrounds, and the Summerfest is going on for the rest of the day today. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this weekend, Summerfest has been happening. So we've got Summerfest today at the fairgrounds. And have you gone down yet?
We was down there Thursday night. Yeah. Great time. 100, I think they were telling us 160 of artists that are here this year. And cool. And then, of course, you've got the 2 stages going with all sorts of local bands. That's always a lot of fun.
And music.
Yeah. And, they're not just artists. There's authors there, too, that are here locally. Yeah. That's always really cool
so many cool things happening, yeah. So come on down to Summerfest. But then the Gardeners Market is happening at the county courthouse as well, too. So Gardeners Market. And it is Flag Day. So I saw this morning they were doing a ceremony, like flag ceremony there. So,
early this morning at the courthouse.
Yeah, at the courthouse. So Gardeners Market at the courthouse. And then on Center Street, we've got the Cache Valley Kids Market. And so Kids Market's going as well, too. So you've got 3 different events. You can come downtown and spend basically all day hanging out. So the kids market should be a lot of fun. I think they've got 30 to 35 vendors that are going to be there this morning. And these are all youth entrepreneurs. They've got their own businesses. They've got their own products. And it's not mom and dad running the show. It's the kids.
Yeah, and some of those kids as young as I think around 5 or 6 that I was talking to last time.
So these are our potential future entrepreneurs on Center Street today with the Cache Valley Kids Market. So that should be a lot of fun. So 3 really cool events happening downtown. And of course, Anderson Seed and Garden, we're right in the middle of it since we're right there on Center Street. And we do have some great deals and specials going on this weekend. So the $2 pansies, we're starting to run out of them, but I still have some $2 6-inch pansies. So these are nice big full 6-inch pots that are completely covered with pansies, and we are selling those for $2 each.
Oh, nice.
And they can go out in shady locations, and they'll do really, really well right now. But no full sun for those pansies. They need it's getting hot enough that they need a shadier location.
Yeah,
need a shadier location. And then we've got some perennials that are bloomed out. So the plants look great. They look amazing, but they're all done flowering for this year. We've got those at half price. So they're 50% off for our bloomed out perennials. And there's some really good selections in there. They're just like the early bloomers that were blooming in April and May, and they're pretty much done blooming. But the plants are looking really good, and they'll bloom again and again and again if you get them planted into your yard. So these bloomed out perennials will be great for next year and the year after and the year after. They'll just keep coming back year after year. And so you can get them for half price, which is a really great deal on some good looking plants. And then for a special today and probably through next week and maybe the week after, we're going to do fruit trees for 25% off. So I've got some really great fruit trees in stock, and we've got some more coming next week. So we have a few more fruit trees to fill in the gaps. So if we don't have exactly what you're looking for, it'll probably be here next week as well too. And fruit trees 25% off this weekend and next week. And that's just because we have so many fruit trees. Yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot of extras. The weather was not cooperative this spring when everyone was planting fruit trees, and we have a little bit of extra inventory. So we got to make a little bit of space.
And that's even after you planted the dozen of fruit trees in your yard.
Yep, they are happy at my house right now. So they look really good.
I know the apricot tree that we planted earlier is very happy as well. I keep checking on about every other day just to nurse it along.
Yep, so I planted nectarine, peach, and apricot like 2 years ago, and they are all loaded with fruit. We've had to go back through and eliminate fruit and do some thinning because they have so much on them. So they're doing really, really great. So we've got 25% off all of our fruit trees right now, and that's apples and pears and cherries and apricots, peaches, plums, nectarines even. So we've got some really great plants. Let's introduce our guests before we grab our phone calls. And today on the show from Green Gro, we've got Mark and we've got Luna. So glad you could be on the show.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Fun driving here to get on the show today.
I know. It's not too bad of a drive from Boise. So
no, not at all.
Not a bad drive.
Want to say hi, Luna?
Hi.
How are you, Luna?
Good.
Awesome.
What do you think of the KVNU studio, Luna? I think her first words was when she came in, oh, it's kind of small in here. It is. We kind of sometimes feel it's like a jail cell. Jail cell with an extra few windows.
With a few windows, with a few windows. That's right. So, do we want to take that phone call? And then we'll come back. We'll talk to Mark and we'll talk to Luna. And Mark's been on the show before. We've talked about some of the great products from Green Gro. So we'll talk about some Earthshine. We'll talk about the green aminos. We'll talk about some of the great fertilizers as well too. But let's grab that phone call.
Yeah, we have Kathy joining us on the line from Dayton. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I was just reading through some of the notes I took when I talked to you.
Let's see here. Kathy, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you fine.
There we go. Hey, good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. I was going through some notes that I took from you from a show a long time ago, and one of them said not to put steer manure on raspberries. Last year, I didn't get my raspberries planted this year, but I did dig up part of my garden, and I'm pretty sure that was steer manure I put on it that's going to have the raspberries next spring.
Sure.
Is that bad?
The steer manure is not bad for your garden in general, but occasionally it can bring diseases in. And some of the diseases that it brings in, of course, can definitely bother raspberries. And so we usually tell people, if you're going to use manures on your raspberries, use a poultry manure. Steer manure that's really, really, really well composted is not as bad as well too, but there are a couple diseases that bother the raspberries you got to be a little careful with. So, how much did you use?
Okay, so if it was like an 8-foot by 2-foot section, and I probably put 2 or 3 buckets, 5-gallon buckets on it.
You should be okay, and especially if it's if it's older, well composted manure. That's not enough to be problematic. It's usually our customers are putting like 2 inches, 3 inches of manure out there, and then it takes forever for it to break down, and then some of those diseases are still viable and they transfer to the raspberries. So
I am planning on hopefully planting the raspberries next year, so I should use poultry manure instead of steer manure.
The poultry would be better, and there's a lot of really great organic fertilizers that you can put in there. And if you're using manures, we want to balance that nitrogen content out with some carbon as well too. So your carbon to nitrogen ratio should be 3-to-1 or 4-to-1. So make sure and use some high carbon product as well too. So that would be anything dry and brown for a good general rule. So leaves that have come off the trees that are no longer green. So once they fall in the fall, straw's great, wood shavings, sawdust. Any other suggestions, Mark?
Biochar.
Yeah, biochar would be really good.
Biochar is a good one. Yeah. And there's also humic acid and things like that.
To help break that down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So humic and the biochar would be wonderful, Kathy.
Okie doke. Next question. How long can you keep weed killer made up and have it still be viable? It seems like I always end up with extra in my thing. I hate throwing it away, but then what?
It's better to use it when it's freshly mixed and not let it sit around. And so I try if I'm going to use an herbicide to mix up what I think I'm going to use and then use it all. And that way you don't have any sitting around, because it does start to lose viability the longer it sits around. If you buy a ready-to-use product that's on the shelf, it's got some stabilizers in there to keep it from degrading over time, so it can just sit there on the shelf. But when you mix it up, it doesn't have that in there, and so it'll start to break down, within a couple days, probably even. And so it's best to use that up. And if you've got a little bit left over and you just don't have anywhere to spray it, it's still better to go hit the gravel driveway with it and apply it instead of letting it sit in your tank, because it can permeate into your tank as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're so welcome, Kathy. Thanks for calling in this morning. Happy Flag Day.
Yes, and happy Father's Day, too.
It is Father's Day.
Father's Day weekend. So
I forgot about that.
I totally forgot about it. It seems like it's really early this year.
It is.
Yeah, it's really early.
It really is. So, yeah, we got to talk about gifts for Dad, too. But that opens up a phone line if you have a question or comment for Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden, or Mark from Green Gro, as we're going to be talking to him this morning for the show. 435-753-5868. That's 435-753 KVNU. And Mark from Green Gro, and we had you on the show. It was about 2 months ago, I think it was, on the phone. But for people that may not remember when you were on the show back then, can you tell us a little bit of how Green Gro got started? It's a really interesting concept.
It is interesting. Yeah, so I was an archaeologist in a former life. So I studied at the University of California, Santa Barbara, Native American agricultural practices, and it was really more indigenous people's agricultural practices. So a lot of my focus was on Central and South America. I also did North America too, but so I was studying at the University of California to become a full archaeologist and go in the field. And so I got stuck with the lab work that the archaeologist didn't want to do. And so we were studying the soil samples that we found in Central America. They were called terra preta soils. They were the most fertile soils on the planet to this day. The indigenous peoples were wiped out about 500 years ago, but they were making these soils for about 1,000 years. Wow. And so they were feeding at new estimates 20 million people in the Amazonian region about 750 years ago. And so they used these really sophisticated ways to make amendments called terra preta, which is really essentially biochar that they were using from hardwood. They would make the biochar in the way that they knew how. They would mix it with their trash piles, which back then was more of a compost pile. And then they blend that with the leftover remnants of what we call like a third harvest, like whatever's left over after you harvest all your crops, right? So usually it was soy, but beans and things like that. They'd mix that as a protein source into the biochar with like worm castings and whatever they had in their trash pile. And they let it ferment. And then in the fall, they'd spread it into their fields, and they'd come back a year later and plant into it. And it was like the most fertile soil. To this day, you could go there right now, and the people who are, what is it called, homesteading in those regions, they come in that region, and they're looking for their ancestral terra preta because they know that that's going to be the best soil in the entire area. And so we were like, okay, if this is so good and you can grow crops almost effortlessly, why can't we do this in the United States? And so that's what led me to quit grad school and create the terra preta, reinvent it. So I can't say I'm the inventor. I reinvented an ancient technology, and now we put that in all of our fertilizers, all of our soils, and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And a number of different products that you have, everything from fertilizers to filters. To that was one of the things we talked about with you last time.
Filtering the water.
You know, there's a lot of things that are in our water sources that you put that into your garden, you put that into yourself, and it can be dangerous.
Yeah, and you know, we saw that everything that terra preta and biology does is it's called regenerative agriculture, right? That's the term that we've coined about 10 years ago. And you'll hear it more often. The USDA is going to start using it too. But regenerative agriculture means that you're leaving the soil in a much better condition than when you found it. And the things you're putting into it is like a self-healing process. So the soil is going to heal and get better and better and better,
that's what
right?
we've been trying to teach people for so long is just like, you know, if you don't continuously add to your soil, you're continuously taking away. You know, whether it's minerals or nutrients or just the soil itself between erosion and, you know, us harvesting things and taking it out, and then we wash it off, and we wash the dirt off the potatoes down the sink, and which is attached to the toilet, is what I tell people. And then, so you're just washing it down the toilet. You know, and then we're not putting anything back.
And what we saw, there was two main things we saw. One was that people are using city water or some type of sanitized water in their gardening, and they don't realize that it's sanitized for human consumption, which means it has things in it to kill microbes. The microbes is what we need in the soil to keep it fertile. So we're like, okay, biochar was always a good way to in the Amazon even, to sanitize water. So they would run their water through carbon chunks to sanitize the water. So we put the biochar in our water filter. So we're like, okay, people stop using chlorinated water in your soil. Step number one. Step number two is putting a diversity of life back in your soil that would be present in nature, but it's not present in tilled soil, which is mycorrhizal fungi. And so if you look at any plant or grass that's just growing by itself generation after generation, it will have mycorrhizal fungi on its roots. And the only reason that our stuff doesn't is because we've tilled it and ripped it, and now we're trying to make it our own.
Broken that soil up. Broken it all up.
You put those two pieces back into the puzzle, and then plants seem to like actually grow naturally, and you don't have to put as much effort into making your plants grow correctly.
And that's what we're seeing as well too. Last week, Will and I were talking about it, and I've been transplanting a lot of plants. I did like about 80 transplants, and you did a whole bunch at your house. And between the mycorrhiza that we're supplementing them with, and I've been using your green aminos, like my plants, like all 80 of my transplants between squashes and melons and cucumbers and pumpkins, tomatoes and peppers, zero transplant shock, like none.
And I've just been waiting for, you know, tomatoes. You know, a lot of times, especially you get into these hot temperatures, they'll just start to wilt a little bit. And I haven't seen any of that this year.
Yeah, I mean, the green aminos is actually another pillar that we kind of discovered that people hadn't been doing for a long, long time, which is proteins and amino acids and plant health. People overlook that because for the last 70 years, we've done more of a chelated salt, you know, basis for fertilizer. So we're using mineral salts and nitrogen and mineral salts and phosphates to grow plants. But when you actually put proteins and amino acids into plants, you see something really change. Their cell walls thicken. They're more robust. They can handle heat and cold more, abruptly. And they can also grow root systems naturally with fine hairs,
right?
Which is what we're looking for water.
Because it's those fine hairs that are able to pick up that nutrient so much more efficiently and then transfer it to the plants. So,
So we just looked across the industry and we're like, okay, we see people using like some types of proteins like feather meal and blood meal and stuff, but it doesn't have all 9 branch chain amino acids, right? Our bodies need that. And so what we look at Green Gro is you have to look at the plant as the same as a human. It needs nitrogen, it needs calcium, it needs phosphorus, it needs trace minerals, and there's 102 known trace minerals that both humans and plants can take up, and most fertilizer programs hit about 25.
Wow, so not even 25% of them.
Yeah, green aminos is 88 out of the 102 known trace minerals.
Huh.
So...
we're talking with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden, Mark from Green Gro. And, I'm curious, too, and maybe Luna can help us with this part. I've noticed one thing that is unique about your product is that all of them have a lion face on it. Where did the lion face come from, Luna? Do you?
So, mostly, because that's his favorite animal. And that's kind of why we put the lion on there. A bunch of people ask if it's made out of lion poop, and we're just like, no. And, and also, the other reason why we have the name Green Gro, too, is because plants are green, and also his favorite color is green, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, Luna, does the lion have a name?
I named it...
She named it Leo, I think.
Yeah.
Leo back in the day. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the things.
I was like 6 when I named it.
It's one of the things that are unique. You'll be able to recognize as you go down to Anderson Seed and Garden. Just look for those bags with the lion's face on it, and that's how you'll be able to locate those.
And really, last year we started using Green Gro's product, and the fertilizer it has so many ingredients in there. It just really covers a wide variety of different plant needs.
Yeah.
Because you look at the back, and Mark, it's got like bone meal and blood meal and feather meal and fish bone meal and kelp meal and the biochar and the humate and like everything's in there. So
and what we like using that I don't think many people use is catfish meal from Louisiana. So we're one of the only companies that does that because we use the whole catfish. Versus other people that might use fish meal. They're just using remnants from codfish production in Alaska.
Yeah. So from Louisiana.
We like the whole catfish because it more mirrors Native American agriculture, where they would find a whole fish and they'd put a piece of burnt wood in their mouth with a piece of corn, and they'd plant it as the moon is cresting full.
Interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah.
And so the company originally got started down in California, where you were going to school at the time. Started out doing fertilizers. Was that kind of where you first started?
No,
and then
actually,
branched out from there? Or?
The two things we started with was the fermented biochar terra preta, and mycorrhizal fungi. So the unique thing about our company is that we're vertically integrated. So a lot of companies don't have access to their own probiotics, so they're kind of sourcing it from people.
From somebody else,
We created our own company to do that. So we run, and we still have it in Ventura, California. So we run greenhouses where we grow mycorrhizal fungi year-round, and we grow it. We're probably the 4th largest manufacturer in the country now of that raw material. And then we sell it to other companies, other fertilizer companies and soil companies.
Right.
Because people need to have access to good quality, fresh product. You know?
So my grandmother always said, your competitor will never, ever put you out of business if you sell your product to them.
Yeah.
True. Yep.
So, it's like when you can create excess so you have more than what you need, and there's always somebody else that needs that extra product, well, sell it to your competitor.
Yeah.
That's kind of our angle. And we like our competitors too. That's the different thing about we enjoy working with our competitors. A lot of them are friends of mine, and it's more friendly competition,
Yeah.
We might yell at each other for this account or that account, but at the end of the day, we work with each other on stuff, and there's not that many companies that can make unique different types of probiotics, so you gotta,
with the quality that you guys have.
Yeah.
We're obsessed.
Yeah.
Well, what I find really interesting is like when you listen to what is going on nutritionally and health wise, for people, we're talking about amino acids, we're talking about proteins, we're talking about all these different minerals, and we're consuming them in a lot of supplements because it's not always in our food. So, here we're doing the same thing for our plants, whose biology really isn't all that different than ours.
No, and really, it's just a different digestion system. Like their digestive system, plants are just as on the outside, right? The roots. Ours are on the inside. Yeah. So we have probiotics in our gut lining, and they're different probiotics as we go down from our stomach to our intestines to everywhere. And the microbes in plants are the same thing. So there's guys that hang out on the outside of the root system, on the inside of the root system, and then systemically, and then on the canopy, right? So it's all different, but it's all the same.
So interesting. Yeah, I love it.
Well, we've got a lot more to talk about as we hit the bottom of the hour, but we can take your calls as well. 435-753-KVNU if you have a question for Mark of Green Gro or Mark of Anderson Seed and Garden. We've got a news break here, and then we'll be right back as we got more to talk about. A lot of things going on downtown, Anderson Seed and Garden, and plus also, of course, it's Father's Day, so we'll talk about those perfect gifts for Dad coming up as the Garden Guide continues here on KVNU.
I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU news headlines. Well, Utah's economy added 16,900 jobs over the past year, pushing the state's total job count to nearly 1.8 million. Now, that's according to new numbers out from the Utah Department of Workforce Services. Ben Crabb, chief economist for the department, noted that while Utah's economic foundation remains secure with broad growth, there are signs of untapped labor.
This month's numbers show a state labor market on a steady economic foundation with job growth of 1%, up notably from the 0.6 to 0.7% rates seen throughout the first 4 months of the year.
Now, the state's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate fell slightly to 3.7% in May, down 0.1 of a point from April. Now, Crabb said the private sector drove the state's 1% employment growth over the past 12 months. Professional and business services saw the largest increase with 7,100 new jobs, followed closely by education and health services. Meanwhile, the information and manufacturing sectors experienced the state's largest year-over-year job losses.
Ultimately, these numbers don't signal economic distress, but rather a transition from an unsustainably tight post-pandemic boom into a softer, more sustainable pace. Supported by a growing job count and low unemployment, the Utah labor market maintains a sound foundation, bolstered by broad sectoral expansion. Despite this dynamism, increased labor market slack and softer participation are indicative of a pool of underutilized labor in the state, which could propel an even more robust expansion given an increase in labor demand.
Now, the latest numbers show that Cache County has the lowest unemployment rate in northern Utah at 3.2%. Rich County is close behind at 3.3%, followed by Box Elder County, which is at 3.6%. Well, some cooler temperatures through the rest of the weekend, but 90s will be returning next week. Will Feelright for KVNU News.
Good morning. This is Chris Lewis. The big story in sports, the United States men's national team soccer. They get another win. They beat Australia 2-0 in Seattle in their second game of the group stage. They clinch a spot in the round of 32. Not only that, they have secured Group D. They do it with their win and also Paraguay's win over Turkey. So the United States, they have advanced to the knockout stage, and now each of their last 4 World Cup appearances. The goals, one in the 11th minute, Cameron Burgess of Australia, an own goal in the 11th, put the U.S. up. And then right before halftime, the 43rd minute, Alex Freeman found the back of the net. The United States held on in the second half, secured their 2-0 win, and again will advance to the knockout stage for the 4th straight appearance at a World Cup. You got the other scores, Paraguay beat Turkey 1-0. That also in Group D. That allows the United States to get first place in that group. Over to Group C. Brazil needed a strong performance. They get it by beating Haiti 3-0. They lead Group C, Brazil, with 4 points. They can clinch a spot in the knockout stage with a win or a draw in its final group stage game against Scotland. Morocco beat Scotland up in Boston 1-0. U.S. Open, Wyndham Clark, he shot a 1 under 69 on Friday. In first place through 36 holes, 7 under total, a 36-hole total of 133. He's 4 strokes ahead of second place. Can he hold on and secure his second U.S. Open? WNBA noteworthy scores. The Mystics topped the Liberty in an upset, 86-83. The Tempo topped the Sun thanks to Mabry's 9 threes, 101-97. The Dodgers come back over the Orioles with 3 runs in the ninth. They win 6-5.
Headed to Logan for Utah State, family fun, outdoor recreation, biking, or running events? You need a great place to stay. The absolute best deal in town is the Baum Motel and the Aggie 79 special. A room at the Baum Motel for just $79 per night. Minutes from USU and right in downtown Logan. It's perfect for game days, graduation, visiting family, and sporting events. Clean, comfortable rooms, family-friendly, and seasonal outdoor pool, plus a free full breakfast to start your day. All for just $79 with the Aggie 79. Call 435-752-5220 and book today.
The Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
And welcome back to the show. The Garden Guide here on News Talk KVNU. A beautiful Saturday morning, already 64 degrees outside. Headed towards the low 90s today, 93 for tomorrow, and then settling back into the low 90s next week. But 95 possibly coming for middle of next week. So
high 80s, low 90s, perfect for growing gardens.
Yeah.
The plants are just loving it. So all my vines are just trailing like crazy.
Yeah.
So I had to take the covers off a whole bunch of my pumpkins and squashes this week because they're just growing so fast. They're starting to run all over the place. So weed barrier went down and the plants are growing across it already. So yeah, that's the way we like it.
Well, we're going to come right back and we'll talk to Mark from Green Gro in just a minute. But first, we have Marilyn joining us on the line from Wellsville. Welcome to the show, Marilyn.
Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank Mark for, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I called and was really concerned that we had a couple of trees that looked, 3 trees that looked like they were dying out of a little troop of trees that we planted 20 years ago. And we removed what is it? It's the weed barrier. We removed that weed barrier.
Right.
And you were right. It was just all this lovely, rich soil above, and there were roots all over the place trying to get to that. I kept thinking about the candies on top and the plants. The trees are screaming. Anyway, we redid that, but you mentioned and we've been putting the tea on, which
the compost tea,
really, really helpful. Yeah, we're there practically. We're there several times a week.
Oh, wonderful! That is awesome.
So they put out leaves, but these trees that looked like they were mostly dead put out leaves, and they're kind of frail looking, but they have leaves.
That's good.
And I'm wondering about 10-10-10 fertilizer, just like maybe twice a month, or
I wouldn't even go twice. I wouldn't even go twice a month. So the compost tea would be great to continue to really encourage that root system, get that root system going again. And then there's some nice slow release fertilizers you could probably apply once, and that would last for the rest of the season. And since Mark from Green Gro's here, they have a really great all-purpose fertilizer that would be awesome for the trees. Don't you think, Mark?
Yeah, no, I think it's gentle, safe. It's going to release slowly for over a 3-month period. And that's kind of what you're going to want with trees that are kind of coming out of a
stress environment. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds great. Slow release.
Yep, slow release. So then you wouldn't have to do it multiple times. You just do it once. And really, if it's going to last 3 months, you're going to get, all the way into like September with this fertilizer. And then at that point, we don't want to fertilize anymore because we want them to start naturally going dormant for the winter time. So, so perfect timing to get that fertilizer on right now. And I'm glad your trees are recovering. So
they are. And my other question is, you had said to do some pruning.
Yes.
And I'm worried about pruning this time of year. Well, there because there are branches that are crisscross, and there are all kind. And then there's been a little neighbor fight going on between them and the dry cherries. The dry cherries had exploded, and they looked like they were dying, and now they're coming up from the bottom. The green and the nice red leaves are coming up, and I'm just thrilled with that.
Yeah, it's not a problem to prune this time of year. We just don't want to prune too much. And so, actually, this week I was out pruning my fruit trees because there was some growth that was just getting out of control, and it just it was going the wrong direction. So you can control the growth of your trees by the way you prune, and you can remove some of those excessive or redundant branches that you don't need to create some strength in other locations on the trees. So if your trees are struggling, it's not going to hurt them to prune them back 10 or 15%. It's going to give 10 or 15% of the strength to the other parts that you need to get to grow.
Well, yeah, and what I was going to say is a lot of these fruit trees now are hybrid, so they have a different root system stock that's going to be different. So that's going to be shooting out its own little feeder,
little suckers.
Suckers. Those need to be taken off immediately. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, all right, because I have some flowering crabs.
Yeah.
And well, somebody said I should just break them off, but they don't break.
They don't break really easily. Yeah. So what they do is when they develop these trees, they take a hardier rootstock. It's in the same family, but it's a hardier root system, and then they graft the more desirable trees into them. So in many cases, you've got a root system that is very different from the tissue that's up on the top of the tree. So top of the tree for a peach, for example, would be a very desirable peach, but the root system might not produce very good peaches at all, but it's like a really strong root system, and so they'll graft into that because it makes the tree healthier over the long run, because the tastiest peaches have in many cases terrible root systems, and so they'll do it that way. So if you've got suckers coming up from below the graft, where that was grafted together, then you'll have something completely different. And so we usually recommend that you prune those off.
And coming up on the branches, all the way up the branches, there's all these little straight stems coming out on the fruit trees, and they're not part of the branches.
Like the growth that shoots straight up off the branches. You're talking about like the water sprouts.
Yes, water sprouts.
Yeah, the water sprouts. That's just like non-productive growth, and so the trees every year we end up pruning all those water sprouts off because that growth won't produce fruit. It's just a lot of excess growth that just happens each year as the trees grow, and so each year we'll take those water sprouts out, especially on apples and pears, but they will happen on all your stone fruits as well too.
And it's okay to snip them.
Absolutely. So I've got my little hand pruner attached to my belt or my back pocket. When I'm out, doing stuff in the orchard, it's just like snip, 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 snip. I'll just take things off as I notice them. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome, Marilyn. You're so welcome.
I appreciate it so much.
I'm glad your trees are recovering and doing much better. So.
They are. Yep.
Super.
Big mistake. We won't do that again. Thank you.
Thanks for calling this morning, Marilyn.
Have a good one.
All right, you too.
You bet.
I think that's half of gardening. We learn from our mistakes, right?
I make mistakes all the time. Yep. Make them all the time.
435-753-5868 is the phone number if you have a question for Mark of Anderson Seed and Garden. Of course, we're also talking to Mark Ervin of Green Gro, and we were talking fertilizers earlier. And, that was one of the things that I think a lot of us, we thought, well, as long as we just water this plant, as long as we just water this fruit tree, Mark, that we're doing our part. And there's so much more than just watering. As Mark Anderson and I have mentioned several times, you don't just survive on a glass of water every day. And we don't expect our plants to do the same thing.
Well, some people do.
Yeah, I mean, when we've surveyed people, obviously, over the last 15, 20 years, and half of all gardeners are just laissez-faire gardeners, think that dirt and water, that's really what they think.
That's all it needs, yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. And over time, we've realized that, a lot of people are growing fruit trees in their yards, and they think that the soil's just going to provide everything to them forever, and they don't ever have to add anything to it. And those trees are like constantly pulling all the nutrient out of the soil to produce fruit every year, and then gradually it produces fewer and fewer fruits, and the quality of the fruit goes down. And so if we're not supplementing them with a little something, then you're going to lose.
I mean, we talk about, bricks content in fruit, and that's really important to everyone because that's what a fruit tastes good, right?
Yeah.
And so we're always targeting, late season, 25 points of bricks when you do like a leaf culture test or, a fruit juice test on a piece of fruit. And the only way to get above 25 consistently is to feed either carbohydrates or different types of iron manganese mixture to the fruit trees. And you really want the right mixture. A lot of people go too heavy on the iron. It really should be, like a 1 to 8 on the iron to manganese ratio to get the best tasting fruit possible in trees.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed also that you have certain fertilizers that are specially formulated for like roses, vegetable gardens, where you tweak that ratio.
Yeah, we tweak it sometimes. So for our acid-loving fertilizer, we're the only ones that are using citric acid, right? Because everyone else is just going throwing sulfur in there. It's been done for like 40 years. It's kind of boring to me. So citric acid is a really nice, robust way to lower the pH for things like raspberries, blueberries, azaleas, all that kind of stuff, while also feeding the microbes, because citric acid comes from microbes. So they use microbes, they milk them for the citric acid and concentrate it. So we're basically lowering the pH of the soil while feeding the microbes something that they can digest, which is really nice. And it makes it easier on the soil to also change the pH. It's not so abrupt like sulfur would be.
Right. And our soils are really high pH because all of our water runs over 5 million limestones as it comes down the canyon. So everybody's soil here in Cache Valley, the pH is usually 7, 7.5, 8. Sometimes it's even a little bit higher. So anytime we can acidify the soil, it really helps free up a lot of the nutrient that's getting tied up in the alkalinity of the soil. So.
Yeah. And so, we do add a little bit of sulfur to ours too, but mostly citric acid is kind of the shining star, which I don't think I've seen anyone do yet. But we also do something else too. We add a chitin source. We think a chitin source is really important for acid-loving plants, and just making sure that, and what we do with that, it's like a crustacean or a shrimp meal to get that chitin in there. And so that's important for, the sheath or the how thick the fruit's skin's going to be so that it's not susceptible to bruising or getting all shriveled up right away.
Yeah. Across the board, I've never seen anybody else use citric acid in their product. And we look at new products every single year. We look at all the old products that have been around for a long time. Yours is the first one. Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. All right, well, let's go out to the phone lines, answer a few more calls. We have Jared holding on the line from Providence. Jared, welcome to the Garden Guide this morning.
Hey, good morning and happy Flag Day to all of you.
Thanks, Jared.
Hey, I've just got a quick question regarding some bush beans. I've got about 30 feet of some bush beans, and some of the leaves, it's not very many, but some of the leaves are just turning brown.
We are seeing a lot of spider mite activity. In fact, yesterday I had 4 customers within 2 hours come in, and they had spider mites already. And spider mites love beans, and they'll make the leaves go speckly and brown. I might have you bring a sample in today because I'll be at the store. I'll be at the store all day. I'll be glad to take a look at it, see if we can figure out what it is. But the spider mites and beans go hand in hand, and they're starting up really, really early. So that is the first thing that I'm going to think about is spider mites on the beans. Is it like just on sections of the plants, or is it kind of like the whole plant doing weird stuff?
It's not speckly on the leaves. It's just one, and it's not, like I said, it's not very many at all. It's maybe less than a fifth of my beans, but on one plant I got one leaf that is just turned straight brown.
Bring a sample in so we can take a look at that, and we can get a little closer look to see, because spider mites will definitely do that. We haven't seen any diseases bothering the beans yet. It's still like way too early. Environmental. Could be wind. It's been really, really windy, and so if those beans are just like flopping back and forth, you could have a little bit of breakage. Yeah, and then you'd have a leaf that would turn brown as well too. So those are the three things that I can think of right now. So,
do I need to bring in an entire plant or just one of the leaves that are turning brown?
Just bring a couple leaves in, and like a healthy one, and then maybe 2 or 3 that are not looking great. Then we can do a little comparison as well too. That'd be super helpful, Jared.
Awesome. Hey, I really appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
All right, you too. Thanks for calling in this morning.
All right, let's go right back out to the phone lines. We have Mary joining us on the line. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I have a wonderful hawthorn that has given great shade, and this year the leaves are spotty, and I'm noticing that they are starting to curl. And the ones on the highest branches are starting to turn brown. So I'm thinking that my tree has a sickness.
Possible. Are the leaves curling? Are the leaves curling down, or are they curling up? Have you noticed like the edges? They're
curling up.
They're curling up. If they curl down, it's usually an insect. So it's generally like an aphid or some other insects, and then it'll pull the corners of the leaves down. If they're curling up and cupping, it's usually a stress indicator, and so it could be stressed. But hawthorns are really quite susceptible to fire blight, and it will turn the leaves brown, and they'll kind of shepherd's crook out on the tips as well too, especially where the blossoms were. And so I might also have you bring a sample of that in, Mary, so we can get a closer look at it. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of stress on plants because of the wind and the drastic transition we've had from like really cool and wet, and then all of a sudden it's gone 90 degrees. And so we're seeing plants stress a little bit, either because they're getting too much water or not enough, and the symptoms look very, very similar. And so if they're struggling because they're just soggy and wet, the leaves will curl up. If they're struggling because they're not getting enough water, the leaves will curl up. But fire blight is a potential problem as well too with the hawthorns. So can you cut a little sample off, maybe 12 inches of a branch that's showing symptoms, and bring that in? Let me take a look at it.
Yes, and how late are you open tonight?
We're open until 6. Open until 6.
Excellent.
Yep, and don't forget, there's a lot going on downtown. So this morning we've got Gardener's Market, we've got Kids Market, the Cache Valley Kids Market on Center Street, but the street's still open, so that's not a problem there. And of course, Summerfest is going on, so it's going to be a little bit busy downtown, but we got plenty of parking out back. So.
Well, I love Summerfest, and I love all of the rest, and I'm looking forward to getting some help with this hawthorn.
Yes.
I don't want it to die.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So definitely a 12-inch piece, and if you want to bring in one that looks a little healthier too, that actually really does help a lot. So then I have something to compare the healthy with the unhealthy with. And
unfortunately, they all
kind of look like that. All right. Yep. Bring me a couple samples, Mary, and we will put our finger on it. So
perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
All right. Have a good one.
Now, Mark, you were mentioning a lot going on at Anderson Seed and Garden and downtown Logan, but also if people weren't with us at the beginning of the show, a couple specials that are going on this weekend.
Yes. So we've got our bloomed out perennials are half price. So we've got perennials that look amazing, but the flowers are all done for the season. So they bloomed in April or May. And so we're putting those on sale for half price. So some really great pricing on some nice perennials in 1 gallons. I think I've got a few 4-inch as well too. They'll be half price. Fruit trees are 25% off, and we've got a little bit of everything. And I've got more trees arriving next week. And so for a certain variety that you're looking for, we probably will have more of them coming in. But apples and pears and nectarines and cherries and plums and apricots, they're all on sale, 25% off on all of our fruit trees. And then we've got some 6-inch pansies that we just recently transplanted into 6-inch pots. And they are huge, and they're in full bloom, and they look amazing. And we're blowing those out at $2 a piece. So they are very, very inexpensive. And the pansies will bloom all summer summer long for you if you keep them in a shady location. So a great time to get a good deal on pansies. I think we've got geraniums on sale as well too. Wave petunias are on sale. A lot of good selection in our greenhouses, whether it's flowers or vegetables. And we have a lot of gardeners who are still planting flowers, still planting vegetables. We've got an amazing selection at Anderson's right now.
All right. Excellent. And as you're over at Anderson Seed and Garden, you can check out Green Gro's selection of fertilizers that we've been talking with Mark Ervin from, founder of Green Gro. I'm curious, Mark, you mentioned you were going to college to become an archaeologist. When did all of a sudden you decide to become a biologist?
I guess when I got tasked with trying to understand what was special in the soil, from an archaeological perspective, we looked at it like going, hey, why is this soil so different than the soil in the surrounding valley? We called it an anthropocentric soil pocket. That basically means that people did something to it over a period of time. And rainforest soils are actually really poor. People would think, oh man, they're probably fertile. No.
Yeah, really?
Very, very poor soil. So when you find these pockets of very fertile, deep, great, lush, dark, black soil in the Amazonian region or in a forested region, somebody did something. And so we were studying what they did, how they did it. And because it was a challenge, because, if you have in that civilization, you had stone cities, which people are just finding out over the last 15, 20 years. Very exciting with LIDAR. We had ginormous stone cities with like stone suburban areas all around it, kind of like satellite areas. And so to feed that many people, you had to have a very productive soil and a very productive gardening situation. So it wasn't just that we had to study how they built this kind of terra preta soil, which is the most fertile on the planet to this day, guys. But also, they had irrigation systems that were stone, right? They were stone irrigation systems and channels they built with. They had turning valves made out of stone, so they could just go like a quarter mile down, and then they just turn the stone, and it turns the water that way or that way or that way.
Change direction.
Direction. And so you go from sophistication of soil technology, sophistication of irrigation technology. They were also hybridizing crops. If you look at it now, we suspect that a good amount of the Amazonian rainforest actually is from hybridizing crops over the last 5,000 years. So it's not just a random occurrence. There's a lot of density of fruit trees and edible vegetable types in the Amazonian region. They were all created by the people over about 4,000 years.
That lived there.
Yeah.
And so you started creating these potting soils, fertilizers to be able to replicate what they were doing.
Yeah. Our goal was to basically take ancient technology and knowledge and bring it into the modern era with modern biotechnology.
Okay.
So we're pretty much dovetailing the two. So we're taking modern biotech, which obviously I have a hand in, and then ancient knowledge, because there was obviously a gap somewhere between the time that the native peoples in the area were flourishing to when they got wiped out. There was probably an 800-year gap almost of lost technology, lost information, lost knowledge. And so my job was to pull that out of the soil as an archaeologist. And then when I discovered what I discovered, it was kind of like my life changed forever. I couldn't go back to just wanting to do archaeology. I was like, we got to use this technology to feed people, to improve soils, to change the way that people are living, So
fascinating.
And when you can do that on a small scale and create food for your family, it tastes better, it's more nutritious, it's healthier for you, and it's healthier for our environment as well too. And so you're checking off multiple boxes there.
Yeah, we're just trying to make sure that people don't realize that we went through this whole green revolution, they called it, from like the 50s until like, I guess, the 2000s, where we were going from using normal organic good amendments in farming to using salt-based fertilizers, right? Yeah. And we're not going to use any names here, but it's a very popular last name Gro product, and it's
with a yellow and green box. Yeah, we won't mention it.
And it's salt based, right?
Yeah.
So you're think about when you salt the soil when you're a military going through an area and you're gonna slash and burn, you're gonna salt the soil so it doesn't grow ever again, right? So if you build up salts in the soil too much, you're depleting its minerals, you're depleting its microbes, and you're depleting its ability to produce more produce. So every year you get less and less and less out of it. So versus the alternative of regenerative agriculture is every year we're getting better and better and better.
Yep. And we found that we can take like some of our heavy clay soils that just are really difficult to grow in, and over time we can turn that into amazing soil. That clay base is really great for holding moisture, but if you condition it correctly, all of a sudden your garden gets better and better and better instead of gradually getting worse and worse and worse over time. So, we didn't get to talk about like everything, Mark, but we got to talk about, biochar a little bit. We got to talk about green aminos. We got to talk about your awesome fertilizers. What I love about it is when my customers come in, they say, which fertilizer do you want to use? I go, here's my Green Gro, and this is why I think you should use it. And I show them all the ingredients on the back, the good biology, the microbes, the microorganisms, the bacteria, the mycorrhiza, and all the ingredients in there, and they go, oh, yeah, I love this. This is awesome.
It'll work.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Luna, appreciate you coming into the studio this morning as well. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. Join us again next week for the Garden Guide here on KVNU.
The story of a nation, 250 years in writing. Celebrate the milestone of a lifetime with us on News Talk KVNU. Logan, the voice of Northern Utah.